All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is the year 2023, and I did not expect to be doing a Fallout in-depth analysis, but here we are. Let's not delay any further. If you're new here, you're into Fallout news, information, updates on the games or on the show, you're in the right place. Consider subscribing. Let's pick this thing apart for all it's worth. I want to begin with one of the opening shots here, which is in Vault 33. We can see Ella Purnell as Lucy, one of the main characters, and we know this is Vault 33 because of the character on the left who is wearing a Vault 33 jumpsuit. This is at what I would imagine is the beginning of the entire series, as part of the story is Lucy, the main character Ella is playing as, leaving the vault and seeing what the world is all about. Now, as we get deeper into this trailer, you're going to notice that not a lot is happening that's good here in this vault. And that's actually indicated by when you see Lucy getting ready to leave. In one of the shots here, she's got a bloody lip and someone on the right side is passed out. But this documents her initial exit from the vault. And as we get a little bit deeper into the trailer, we'll see just how crazy things got at Vault 33. At this point in the trailer, Lucy has stepped out of the vault and she's seeing life on the outside for the first time, which is something we've all experienced, if you will, the IRL step out moment. Now, this shot in particular here, it's not exact, but it was kind of reminiscent to me of the death screens from the OG Fallout game. Maybe it's just the skull and the angle it's at, but kind of reminded me of that. And afterwards, we get a couple of shots of the fallen coastline, if you will, what the world around Vault 33 looks like as Lucy's going to explore all of these locations. Now, keep in mind, this takes place 9 years after Fallout 4. And what we're seeing here is the Santa Monica Pier, completely destroyed as indicated by the Ferris wheel at the end. But then we also get shots of Lucy wandering through ruins. We get a shot here of her near some houses with our first look at a rad roach, which is, for those who have not seen Fallout before, because this video is going out to, of course, not only the Fallout fans who know and love the series, but those who have never even played the games. This is one of the more iconic, weak, by the way, mutated creatures that you can pop with a BB gun. But these shots are all designed to indicate the fallen coastline, to the point where water isn't even a thing. As we can see, a ship is covered in sand. I know your head went right where mine did, Rivet City. Outside of all of these locations, nothing here seems directly identifiable. We'll get into that when we see Philly a little bit later in the trailer. For me, it's these opening shots that take the most from the original Fallout on a visual level, and I love it. What I mean by that is, Fallout 1, you cover massive stretches of land, like Vault 13 all the way to Shady Sands. And since it's a game about the passage of time and trying to find the water chip before time is up, you'll see that time is gradually counting on as you go from location to location. And as indicated by the map, there are vast stretches of land where nothing is really happening between these little pockets of civilization. And it's in all of these shots that you see these wide pan camera shots, and there is nothing surrounding them. You see a ship buried by sand and nothing surrounding it. You see a couple of houses through the pane of a window and nothing else. You see the ruins of Santa Monica and nothing else. There isn't even a pocket of civilization inhabiting these little scattered ruins. So I just feel a lot of original Fallout energy in this. Now we move on to one of the new main characters in the show. Who we're looking at here is Michael Emerson, who is playing a character known as Wilzig, which is defined in a Vanity Fair report as an enigmatic researcher. Most of the disparate parties are chasing an artifact that has the potential of radically changing the power dynamic in this world, which we'll get into where that may be, what it may be. But here you have this character, Wilzig, who's breaking down to Lucy how you have to toughen up a bit out in these wastes. And it's there we're introduced to Dogmeat for the first time. For those who have never seen Fallout before, this is another iconic character. Dogmeat's one of the first characters to introduce himself to you in the start of Fallout 4. He's always in every single Fallout game, and now he's here in the Fallout TV show. And we actually see him a couple other times, but this time he's taking out a rad roach. I told you, they're weak. Here's where things get extra spicy. We're now looking at a bunch of vertibirds that are leaving an airfield of some kind surrounded by fences. Now, this is our first look at the Brotherhood of Steel. We get a look at one of the main characters in Maximus, who is a Brotherhood of Steel scribe. He's actually going to be one of the main characters in the show next to Lucy and one other that we'll get to later in this trailer. We also get a close-up look at a Brotherhood of Steel knight. I absolutely love how the power armor looks. Big, intimidating, a threat, and very tank-like. At the same time, we also get to see Dogmeat doing his thing, you know, hand in mouth. Love that stuff. But more importantly is the location of this airbase. I am speculating that possibly this is Navarro, which is a location you can go to in Fallout 2, which looks suspiciously similar, especially the fencing surrounding the airbase, to what we see here on screen. Now here's where it gets a bit tricky. The Brotherhood of Steel is occupying this space, but now we gotta dig into the Fallout lore some more. As you can see, Navarro is located on the west coast north of San Francisco, so it would kind of fit location-wise, so it's a little more plausible that would fit in. But let's look at the timeline. It's in 2241 that Fallout 2 exists, and originally Navarro was an enclave base, which are the remnants of America's government. Then we have 2281, where Fallout New Vegas takes place. It's there during a conversation with Arcade Gannon that you can learn that the NCR has now occupied this location. We know the NCR are part of this show, given that it has leaked in the past, but in terms of official content, we have yet to see the NCR, although I speculate that in this shot here, they are the ones attacking this Brotherhood of Steel base. You know, maybe taking back some of their land if this is actually Navarro. Now, this show is set in 2296, so it's been long enough after New Vegas for things to move, but in the terms of New Vegas, the Brotherhood of Steel was located in a little bunker by themselves, while the NCR had a ton of power and were the ones mostly responsible for patrolling the wastes. So it's just a lot of speculation. This could just be a random airfield, but I thought the rabbit hole was worth going down to explain who they are and how this timeline could be moving. But nonetheless, it is our first look at the Brotherhood of Steel, and the vertebrates look excellent, as does the power armor. Now we've made our way inside the vault. For those who have never played a Fallout game, a simple explanation of it is think of them as underground shelters that protect you from when the bombs drop, except the people who made these vaults also packed them with experiments that ruin the lives of the people living inside them. So it's pretty twisted. And Vault 33 is no exclusion from that rule because it goes full bloodshed in this trailer as we see the blood smash against the jukebox. We know this is Vault 33, the one that Lucy leaves at the start of the trailer. Based on what we're seeing on the pillars of the vault, this is 33. Pay attention to the crops here on the bottom right corner as they'll be in the backdrop of multiple images, thus suggesting all of these shots are within this same vault and not another one. Now we see this one gentleman here losing his absolute mind out of nowhere, and then perhaps a brief peek at the aftermath of this entire skirmish as we have a dead vault dweller getting wheeled around on a medical bed by a Mr. Handy, which is one of the assistant robots in the Fallout universe. And we do see some of that classic Fallout propaganda with some ice cream promotion. But at one point in this, we get a look at Kyle MacLachlan, who according to Vanity Fair is the overseer or the head of Vault 33. And there is a sealed door between him and Lucy, thus, I imagine suggesting that this dude's gonna die in episode 1. This shot is to me kind of reminiscent of what happens in Project Purity with Fallout 3, where your dad is sealed off from you at one point in the game. We also get to see just how wild things are getting as a woman with a fork in her eye is unloading an entire SMG clip on the entire vault. So yeah, things have gone pretty crazy here. And it's only speculation, but it's possible that this is hallucinogenics based because we do see at one point a overseer with a single eye. Now, given that you're inside the vault, which is designed to protect you from things like, say, radiation, the primary cause of the mutations of creatures that you see in the Fallout universe, it wouldn't make a ton of sense for a random human to suddenly mutate inside the vault. At the same time, it's also possible that part of the vault's experiment was this, making humans mutate. We're not entirely sure, but it would kind of explain a bit of what's happening here where he's talking about drinking moldy coffee, people are randomly losing their minds, someone's shooting at someone else with a fork in her eye. All of these dwellers have turned on one another, and it could explain why Lucy suddenly wants to leave this place. Perhaps she found something out about this vault experiment gone south. I am not entirely sure, but nonetheless, this place, like many vaults in Fallout, is a shit show. Afterwards, we see a turret that is trying to light up who I believe is Wilzig, the researcher from earlier. I find it hilarious that while the turret is opening fire, it says, "Please remain calm." Now, you see both Wilzig and Dogmeat are running away, and Wilzig has something in hand. And later on in the trailer, we also see someone running away with a suspicious-looking briefcase in hand. I go back to this quote here from the Vanity Fair article where they say most of the disparate parties are chasing an artifact that has the potential to radically change the power dynamic in this world. Maybe these shots aren't connected at all. I mean, when you look at the object in hand for Wilzig, it is not the same looking briefcase that we see later on in the trailer. But it also begs the question, why exactly is a turret set up to guard this specific building? It must be protecting something of value, you'd have to think. I also wanted to note the snow on the ground here, because this is what we would call a nuclear winter, which you know what they say in Fallout New Vegas.
Patrolling the Mojave almost makes you wish for a nuclear winter.
We already saw a mutated human with one eye. Does it apply to the creatures? Of course it does. If you played Fallout, you already know that these creatures are sick and disgusting, like the Yaogwai, which we see here taking out a Brotherhood of Steel knight. And for those who don't know, this is a bear in the Fallout world that's been mutated. However, this one threw us for a bit of a loop. We never saw this one in a video game before. I'm not going to pretend to have any knowledge on salamanders, but this is believed to be amongst the Fallout community who also has great knowledge of various creatures on our planet, an axolotl. And so there you have it. A salamander is this terrifying thing with, this is the inside of its mouth. So yeah, have fun with that. Now we're back to focusing on Lucy's journey, and I believe this is a continuation of what we saw earlier from that shot of the rad roach in the window, because you can see in the background of this image here are some of the similar buildings that she was walking by at that point in the trailer. So perhaps she was heading here all along and this was her ultimate destination, this gentleman in just his underwear in a t-shirt. Given how he's dressed and the status of his house, it would not surprise me if a rad roach was housed inside here. This is also our first look at cars inside the Fallout TV show compared to what we saw in, say, Fallout 1 or Fallout 4. I would say the model is kind of there. If I were to be nitpicky about anything, I would say that this pretty clearly isn't anything from the Corvega make. However, Lucy's journey leads her here. This place is called Philly, which Vanity Fair describes as an apparent junkyard that is actually a town of survivors in the remnants of greater Los Angeles who cobbled together their village from scrap. Some people are asking what's going on with Boneyard. For those who don't know, Boneyard are the greater ruins of Los Angeles, and since this is all focused on that area, I think the answer may be directly in the backdrop there. This seems to be further outside the city slightly, if I were to wager a guess. However, this place also gets rinsed off the map, so I don't think it's actually that important of a location. Why is that? Because at this shot here of the ghoul, you can see the same exact supply shop directly behind him, so it looks like he's showing up afterwards and absolutely destroys this place, blowing up someone's brains against the window for good measure. Now, this character is really important. According to Vanity Fair, this is the ghoul who plays as effectively a sinister bounty hunter. He was once a father and a husband, which you see here in this pre-war flashback. Now, given what's happening in the background, it unfortunately seems like Walton was getting ready to go to the vault and got caught while the bombs dropped early, and therefore it leads us to our final shot of the trailer where you see multiple nukes landing, which I thought was a great little detail here because it wasn't just one nuke that hit the United States, but multiple, and hence why we have so many places that are heavily irradiated compared to others. And also, there is a little touch here of Fallout 3 in that there is the prepare for the future art, which you can actually see in that game as well. It's tucked away down here at the bottom. You can also see a continuation of the ghoul here on his horse, watching as the bombs fall to the right, tucked away on the road. And that does it. That's the end of the Fallout trailer and everything I could pick out of it. If I were to say what I loved about it most, it's that I feel a little bit of every Fallout game in this. I feel the wasteland of Fallout 1 and 2 and in turn New Vegas. I feel some of the story elements from Fallout 3 with the way at least the vault exit went. That seems pretty Fallout 3 heavy. Meanwhile, I also like the artistic direction that's very reminiscent of Fallout 4. I always found that to be an attractive video game, so I like how they went about that, despite how some people may feel about the assault rifle. I totally understand and respect that. Meanwhile, they're trying new things. I think the idea of the ghoul is the most tantalizing to me. This bounty hunter who's lived hundreds of years and went from father and husband to absolutely cold-hearted and what seems to be the antagonist of the show. And I don't think they've shown us everything yet. I think the NCR still has to be fully revealed. I can't wait to see what they're doing with them. And I think based off some of the shots we've seen here, that the NCR is just being held for trailer 2. We'll see in due time, but ladies and gentlemen, that is my in-depth analysis on the Fallout teaser trailer. I'm looking forward to seeing your thoughts down below. Fire away. Other than that, take great care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time around. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.